Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to pinch hit here quick. Chad had to run out on a family emergency here quick, and so I'm going to pinch hit here and do a very quick presentation about Mountain Lion Management Plan and then talk with you briefly about an extension of the plan itself. Obviously, the first Mountain Lion Management Plan took back in the early 2000s as the state was contemplating the first mountain lion hunting season itself, and that first management plan went for a 10-year plan, and back in 2010, actually prior to the expiration of the original plan, with a lot of changes, new information, data, population estimating approach stuff, we went ahead and did a revision back in 2010 with a new 5-year plan, which we're obviously currently operating under. Again, at that time, when we did these management plans for mountain lions, that was probably some of the most comprehensive plans that we did from a public input standpoint, similar to what we do right now with all of our management plans. But those were the two previous versions, or I should say in the current version that we are operating under. Again, the current plan was revised back in 2013 with just a couple of revisions. Ultimately, a couple of these things were recommended when we went through the big game review with Wildlife Management Institute, and in particular was clarification of that population goal for total individuals, and then we also did some updates to the mountain lion response protocol. A couple other items that have been added since 2010 were some online educational brochures to help folks identify lions and methods of determining age and sex. Revised the Living with Mountain Lions brochure. We've done additional research. We've actually done contractual research projects through universities. We've also done additional work on our own, as Andy Lindblom, our big game biologist, has talked to you over the last year and a half of between radio-collared lions and doing the genetic sampling for population estimates. And so there's a lot of things going on since 2010 that have been added to our efforts for mountain lion management. Obviously, over the years, we get a lot of questions and comments about identifying lions, and is it a male, female, the size, age, and those things. And in particular, just even identifying, confirming a mountain lion, whether it's by tracks or other means. And so we've tried to put additional information out there to help educate the public and provide additional background and information that they can refer to when they do come across signs that they might have questions about. So we've continued to try to provide those educational pieces in regards to the management of mountain lions. The brochure that was mentioned, obviously we want to make people aware of specific things when it comes to mountain lions, especially those folks living in areas where mountain lions are predominantly found, and for us that'd be the Black Hills of South Dakota. Things to consider when you're in those particular areas. Again, how to identify and mountain lions, hunting and feeding habits, all those things, just to better make people informed about mountain lions and those habitats. So the current management plan, again, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we're operating under the 2010 to 2015 management plan, and really focuses on the Black Hills of South Dakota. As we've stated time and time again, and under the current plan, we're specifically managing for mountain lions in the Black Hills, not the prairies of South Dakota. Just again, to just briefly go over some of the main primary objectives within the current management plan. Number one, it talks about that population goal, and right now that is 175 plus or minus 25 individuals. And I mentioned just a few seconds ago here, this was updated back in 2013 as a result of a recommendation from the Big Game Review. So we did make that modification in the plan itself. Also talks about current harvest strategies for mountain lions and implementations for other big game species in the Black Hills. Objective 2, manage mountain lions in Custer State Park in the Black Hills, and more importantly, it's that the Custer State Park is part of the overall management approach in the Black Hills, that it is one mountain lion population. And current system of hunter access in the park is is regulated, if I may, with those access permits, both for boot hunters and a limited number for hunters using hounds. Number 3, we annually develop, evaluate, and prioritize a list of mountain lion research needs. Those are ongoing discussions, no different than any other species we manage out there. But obviously, when we consider and look at mountain lions, we've had in recent years, the last 10 to 15 years, we've had quite an emphasis on learning more about mountain lions to help us in our overall management. Number 4, develop education strategies to continue to inform and educating not only staff but the citizens of the state. And we talked about the brochure and other pieces of information that we provide on our website and with the hunting licenses. And develop and include that public involvement for the plan to implementation of objectives and strategies. And as John was just talking about with fisheries management plan, no different mountain lion and all other management plans, there is that public input process, and not only putting the plans together but also implementation. Looking forward, as we talked about at the last meeting about all of our management plans and all the work that we have going on and future plans that we have in the early frameworks of beginning or to begin here shortly. The current management plan goes through 2015, and assessing it and looking at it, there are many components of it that fully function moving forward as a management plan right now. We can continue to move forward. There's also parts of it that as staff we've looked at it and want to make some modifications and changes to the overall format and some new information in there as well. But in the big picture, what it really does is it still lends itself to moving forward with management of mountain lions in South Dakota. And we were planning to start the revision of the mountain lion plan this year. But as we've talked about, in particular, as we were concluding the elk management plan, the need and necessity and the high priority of putting together that deer management plan as well is really a priority of ours. And so based on the overlap of that and the discussions that we had last commission meeting about plans and implementation and beginning new ones and prioritizing management plans, essentially what we're asking you as a commission to do an extension or agree to an extension, a 2-year extension to the current mountain lion management plan as we move forward over the next 2 years, as we focus our efforts in putting together that deer statewide management plan. This would carry us through calendar 2017, and then at the conclusion of working on that deer management plan, we would begin that process of revising and updating the mountain lion management plan. So ultimately our overall request to use the commission is adopting the request to move forward with a 2-year extension on the current mountain lion management plan. Again, we believe it serves us moving forward in our management approach. Certainly, if over the next 2 years, if with the extension of the mountain lion management plan, you feel that it's necessary to make adjustments to, example, the season structure, and we look at current data that we gather on an annual basis, and there needs to be adjustments to the season structure, the harvest limit, all those things, that still provides that opportunity as both the department to bring those recommendations and you and a commission to adopt. But bottom line, we request your adoption and consideration of moving forward with a 2-year extension on the mountain lion management plan.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Questions for Tom in addition to the PowerPoint? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to extend the current mountain lion management plan through 2017 with the provision that the commission could look at changes if in fact something biologically or something else comes up to impact it.
I'll move we extend it.
Moved by Barry, seconded by Kathy. Any questions before we vote? All in favor of extending the current mountain lion management plan indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Good.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We obviously know there's a high interest in this particular species and in the management of it. One point of interest that I just want to make you as commissioners aware of is that as a department, we did reach out and speak to the president of the Prairie Hills Audubon Society. That is a group that's had a very high interest in mountain lion management and the mountain lion management plans. And Director Life has had that conversation with those folks so that they are aware of the request and the action that you as a commission were going to be considering today. So just as a point of information to make you aware of that.
Okay, great. I hope we can continue that and see what we can do about dialogue. I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.